Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. And this is the review of the brand new Disney Plus Star Wars series, Ahsoka, Episode 3, Part 3, should I say, Time to Fly. How is everybody doing out there in Star Wars land? I know all of us Rebels fans are having a field day, or if you're a Star Wars fan in particular, this is good stuff here, man. I'm loving this so far. I hope and pray that I don't be let down when Ahsoka is all said and done. This has been a well paced show thus far. We are 3 episodes in, and I can honestly say that I can't get enough of it. This is premium Star Wars viewing. This is really a throwback to the Star Wars that us of a certain age grew up on. You know, a New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Empire. You know, and if even a new generation who grew up with Clone Wars and Rebels, especially because this is a continuation of those stories, in particular of one Ahsoka Tana. And this episode is, I don't know, I got a New Hope vibes. I got episode 4 vibes from this episode. It was fun and well paced and action packed, and it moved the story along, despite the fact that this was a short episode in comparison to the first two, which were an hour apiece. You know, well, close to an hour. They were 50 something minutes. But this episode was about 35 minutes long with credits. So it really was well paced and well written, must I say, to really dive into so much in so little time. Ahsoka has found, surer footing in episode 3 as the characters settle into a strong and fun dynamic while working together to uncover how Morgan Lisbeth is working to bring back Grand Admiral Thrawn. Most of the episode take place aboard Ahsoka Tana's ship with her former apprentice, Mandalorian apprentice, should I say, Sabine, as they pursue Lisbeth. And so the early parts feel very much like the scenes with Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan aboard the Millennium Falcon. And, with the Jedi training and lightsaber training, should I say. And the sequence also draws from kind of a samurai film feel, which is ironically the inspiration for the original Star Wars with George Lucas. He drew inspiration from old samurai films. And so it was good to see that incorporated here. That sequence, that scene of the training of the little blind visor that was over Sabine was really, really well choreographed, well done. It was like a dance, and I enjoyed it. What's the name of the droid? Hu Win? I can't remember. But anyways, I love the humor from the droid, and it brought some levity to the scene as well. I think the chemistry between Rosario Dawson and the actress who plays Sabine is really good. The explanation of the Force, how the Force lives in everything. Every living thing has the Force. And when Sabine asked Ahsoka, well, if that's the truth, why can't everybody use the Force? And her explanation was really sound. It's about talent and being in tune with it. It takes discipline to master the Force, and not too many people have the level of discipline to master the Force. And I thought that was an awesome explanation, which we've heard in so many different Star Wars properties, films, and shows. So it is nothing new, but I love that explanation for that. We move to another scene where Hera is trying to convince the Senate to allow her to take some a fleet, should I say, and go search for Thrawn, go search for Elizabeth. Basically, link up with Ahsoka, even though she never tells the Senate about Ahsoka already en route. But they decline, and one senator in particular, whose name escapes me, but he is he is really telegraphing villain vibes, and that was kind of on the nose there. That I was like, nine times out of ten, he probably won't even be one. It's probably a swerve, but it was so telling that he is a villain. You know, that he's working with the Empire. That it was like, oh, come on, man, nobody can see this. It's, you know, but nonetheless, he convinced everybody else that nobody wants to go to war. This would cause war. They poo poo on the Empire, saying, "Oh, they don't have enough forces," and blah blah blah. They just, underestimated them. They underestimated them, and we know in future properties that that's going to be their biggest mistake. And so this angers Hera, and once again, I got to reflect back to Rebels. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who plays Hera, is doing a marvelous job. She's doing a great job in this role because she captured that same strength and hard headed, not hard headed. What's the term I'm trying to think of? I don't know. I can't think of it right now. It'll come to me after I finish recording. Watch. Anyways, she has the same vibe as Hera from Rebels, and I really enjoyed that. We got to see her son in this episode, Jason, and that was a nice little touch. I forgot that she even had a son, but hey, there he is, and being watched over by Chopper, nonetheless, who is, let's not forget, a war criminal. But we're willing to look past that. And but the Easter egg there, for those of you who know, Jason's father is Kanan, who was a Jedi. So when he tells his mother Hera that oh, I want to be a Jedi, because he knows about Sabine being trained by Ahsoka to be a Jedi. So he tells Hera this, and he's like, yeah, I want to be a Jedi. And it kind of gave Hera a little pause, like, oh, she didn't break him, like, nah, don't think of something else or anything like that, because deep down she know is in him somewhere, because his father was a Jedi. And so she just like, oh, I know you do. That was just a cool little nod to what's to come, maybe. Wink wink. Hey, that'll be nice. So nonetheless, the New Republic refused to acknowledge the Empire, and but Hera did tell them that, look, they can't, they're spread all over the galaxy or whatever, but they're not going to come together. But she's trying to explain to them, if Thrawn returns, he will get them together. He is the heir to the Empire, so y'all need to take this seriously. But they're convinced that Thrawn is dead. Back on Ahsoka's shuttle, we see that they have arrived to their destination. They engage in a dogfight with Shin and some other fighters, and that was a nice little dogfight in space. Once again, going back to A New Hope, when Luke took the tail gun and was shooting down the oh man, why are their names escaping me? Why are they escaping me? I can't think today. But anyway, the Empire ship, the little TIE fighters, I think. Anyways, got them, and he got excited, and Han Solo screamed at him like, "Good job, kid! Don't get cocky." That scene, that iconic scene. Well, we get a similar, a little throwback here, or an homage, so you could say, with Sabine going to the gun and trying to shoot down these fighters, and her and Ahsoka are not working together. And so they finally decide. Well, Ahsoka finally decides to let Sabine work with her and tell her what she needs in order to defeat this enemy together. And them working together to fight off those the enemy was like beauty. It was touching in a way. And I wasn't expecting to get touched by that. But it was cool. It was a cool moment for Ahsoka. If you followed her through Clone Wars, through Rebels, even in the Mandalorian when she popped up, this was a cool moment, to let somebody help her, or dare I say, take the lead. That was a cool moment. Um, they find the little hyperdrive ring where Morgan Elsbeth is stationed at. She fires on the ship and disables it for a while. She thinks she's defeating them, and Shin tells her like, "Nope, you didn't." Shin and Morgan's little back and forth because they do not like each other, which is a interesting dynamic. How that might turn out. I wanted to mention last week that there might be some distinction there with Ray Stevenson's character and Shin and Morgan, because Morgan is all for getting Grand Admiral Thrawn, and Ray Stevenson's got, I think, Balin. Balin, yeah, he's for that. He's all good with that, but he doesn't want to kill any Jedi. He still has some loyalty to the Jedi because he's kind of hesitant about killing Ahsoka. And so, well, not hesitant. It's like he just doesn't want to do it, but he'll do it if he has to. In so many words, I don't know any other way to describe it at this moment. Uh, but Shin, she just does not like Morgan, and she even asked Balin last week, why are we working with her? It's like she has a disdain for Morgan. It may lead to them turning coat on them, flipping back to the light, I guess you could say, from the dark side. Even though, are they really on the dark side? They're kind of neutral there. I don't know. I don't know where that's heading, but I have a strong feeling that they're gonna flip it before this season is up. And so we get an epic scene with Ahsoka putting on her spacesuit, going out on the ship, and reflecting or deflecting the the lasers or the blasters from the fighters as Sabine is working to get the ship back running, and her flipping on the ship, even taking out one ship with the lightsabers while in space. That was new. That was new, but it was fun. It was really cool to see because they haven't seen that before, and Ahsoka would be the one to do it. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna sit here like, oh no, that's not possible. It's Star Wars, people. Get over it. But anywho's, yeah, that was a cool little scene. They're able to get away onto the planet, and when we get to the planet, for all you Rebels fans, we got to see the space whales. We haven't seen it. I think we saw a space whale in The Mandalorian, but it was just a silhouette of the space whale. And going back to Rebels, you know that the space whales plays a big part in that story, especially involving Ezra and Thrawn. It was the space whales that brought them to the world between worlds, because they were summoned by Ezra. Ezra is the only one, at least to my knowledge, who can communicate with the space whales. And so this is a big clue to finding Ezra and Thrawn. Not to mention, space whales, going back to the books, the old Star Wars legacy books that may be canon or may not be canon, but in any event, that's how they were able to create the hyperdrive because of the space whales, studying the space whales because they can travel at those speeds. And that's where they got the technology, or studying those whales is how they got the technology to hyperspeed, or travel through hyperspace. So there's a big clue there. Them being on the planet that they're on to maybe finding Thrawn and Ezra. So that was very interesting. To wrap it all up, my final verdict on this episode, I think this episode closely resembles Star Wars: A New Hope, and that's not an insult. That's a compliment. You know, it focuses on Jedi training and space battles, and this is Star Wars, people. So hey, space battles, it flips the bill. It satisfies my love for this property. It delivers great and wonderful action throughout this episode, and it develops a strong dynamic between our two characters of Ahsoka and Sabine. I think there was a leap forward there, which was very cool to watch. And what was also cool to watch was the way they connected all past properties of the Star Wars franchise. You know, as I said millions of times, Rebels, Clone Wars, and now even A New Hope. It still found the way to kind of reinvent the core definition of the franchise. You know, it expanded on the universe even more, and that's what you need to do. I mean, this is a property that can go in multiple directions. There are galaxies everywhere. There are multiple there are millions of galaxies in the universe, so you can go anywhere. You can expand so much, and it's subtly starting to expand throughout the galaxy. And I'm here for it. This was an excellent episode. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. I really was. I was dog tired when I watched this the other night, and I woke up as soon as it came on. I was up. I was like sitting at the edge of my seat. It was that fun, and I was upset when it went off. That's how you know it was a good episode. Or you can watch a movie and just feel the same way. You know, you get mad when it goes off. Like, man, that's it. Give me 10 more minutes, just please, 10 more minutes of this. But I'm happy with what I got. You know, they cut off at the right time. Sometimes they add more to make it stretch to an hour just to say it was an hour long episode, and it didn't need to be. And so they gave you exactly what you needed and got up out of there. And I'm cool with that. As always, I'm not gonna grade this episode. I'm waiting to the end of the season, and we're gonna grade the season as a whole. But I will say this much: so far, so good. Star Wars Ahsoka Part 3, Time to Fly, is currently on Disney Plus, along with the first 2 episodes of this season. I would like to know, how are you feeling thus far about Ahsoka? Are you enjoying it? Or are you burnt out on Star Wars? Do you feel that this is something that you have no idea what's going on, or whatever the case may be? I'd like to know your feelings, whatever they are. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also look me up on all social media platforms. Just look up the KB Radio Network. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Concession Stand here on the KB Radio Network. And you can also look us up on YouTube. Look for the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Subscribe and give this video a like. Everyone, thank you for joining me for this review of Ahsoka Part 3, Time to Fly. Can't wait to speak to you next week as we review Part 4. I am highly anticipating that. This is one of them shows I wish they would have binged. I wish they would have dropped all the episodes, and so I could have binged it, and you could have binged it and enjoyed it, all the Star Wars goodness. But that's fine. Keep them wanting more, Disney. Keep them wanting more. want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love one another. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.